Some wounds don't bleed, they echo. Words said in anger, trust broken in silence, moments you wish you could undo. These aren't just memories, they're weights, carried quietly, hidden behind smiles. And yet, Jesus knew this kind of pain intimately, not just the pain of physical suffering, but the pain of betrayal, denial, and rejection. And still, his first words from the cross were not, "Why?" or "Help." They were, "Father, forgive them." Forgiveness isn't about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about choosing not to let it control who you become. It doesn't mean trust is immediately restored or that boundaries shouldn't exist. It means you're handing the burden over to someone stronger, to a God who sees both the wound and the weight, who promises that letting go doesn't mean losing, it means freedom. We often wait until someone apologizes before we even consider forgiving. But Jesus didn't wait. He forgave in advance. He didn't excuse sin, but he refused to let bitterness grow. Because he knew, unforgiveness doesn't just hurt the offender, it poisons the soul of the offended. That's why he taught us to pray, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." Not as a ritual, but as rescue. You were never meant to carry resentment forever. It's too heavy. It drains joy. It clouds clarity. It hardens the heart. And somewhere along the way, it starts changing you. Not into who you're healing to be, but into who you were hurt by. Jesus came to break that cycle, to give you another option, healing through forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it rewrites your future. Because holding on to offense doesn't protect you, it binds you. You think you're staying strong, keeping control, making a statement. But all the while, the pain festers. It shapes how you see people, how you trust, how you respond. And slowly, it hardens what was once soft, your heart. Jesus didn't teach forgiveness because it's easy. He taught it because it's necessary. Necessary for peace, necessary for growth, necessary to follow him. When Peter asked, "How many times should I forgive?" 7. Jesus said, 70 times 7. Not as a number to count, but a heart posture to live from. Forgiveness isn't an event, it's a process, a daily choice to release what doesn't serve healing. And here's what's beautiful. God never asks you to forgive without giving you the strength to do it. He knows how deep the wound goes. He knows what it cost you. And he also knows what it's still costing you to hold on. That's why he invites you to surrender, not to weakness, but to freedom. Because forgiveness isn't approval, it's release. It's saying, "This no longer has power over me." You don't have to feel ready to begin. You just have to be willing. Willing to believe that maybe, just maybe, there's more healing in letting go than in holding on. And that with God, even the most broken relationships can become the most powerful testimonies. We often think forgiveness is for the other person, a gift they don't deserve. But what if it's actually for you? For your peace, for your healing, for the space in your soul that's been cluttered by the weight of what happened. Forgiveness is not a denial of justice. It's a decision to let God be the judge and to stop letting your past define your future. Some people may never say sorry. Some relationships may never go back to what they were, and that's okay. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation every time. It means choosing peace, even when the pain remains. It means releasing bitterness, so it doesn't rot what's still growing inside you. It's an act of faith, trusting that God sees, God knows, and God will make all things right in His time. This kind of forgiveness isn't weakness, it's spiritual strength. It says, "I could stay angry, but I won't. I could get even, but I choose grace. That doesn't mean you forget. It means you heal. Slowly, honestly, with God at your side in every memory, every conversation, every tear. You were created for more than holding pain. You were created to carry love, to reflect the mercy you've received. And that begins one step, one surrender, one prayer at a time. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one you see in the mirror. You replay the mistakes, the things you wish you hadn't said, the people you hurt while you were hurting. And the enemy uses those memories to convince you that you're beyond grace. But Jesus doesn't just call you to forgive others. He calls you to receive forgiveness for yourself. The same mercy he offers to the world, he offers to you. No exceptions, no disclaimers. And when you begin to live from that place, fully forgiven, deeply loved, it becomes possible to extend what you've received. Not because it's easy, but because grace doesn't flow from effort. It flows from freedom. That's the real power of forgiveness. It transforms the heart, not just of the one who's forgiven, but of the one who forgives. It creates space for peace where pain once lived, and it makes room for God to restore what bitterness tried to destroy. Some bridges may never look the same, but healing isn't always about going back. Sometimes it's about moving forward whole. If you felt even a small release while listening to this, subscribe and turn on the bell, not just for content, but for reminders of who you can become when forgiveness becomes your path. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about remembering differently. It's about looking back without staying stuck. It's about seeing the wound and recognizing that somehow it didn't destroy you, that you're still standing, still breathing, still capable of love. That's what grace does. It doesn't erase the scar, but it changes what it means. Some of the most powerful people you'll meet aren't the ones who've avoided pain. They're the ones who've chosen not to be defined by it. They've been hurt, yes, betrayed, misunderstood, disappointed. But instead of building walls, they opened their hands. Instead of retaliating, they released. And in that surrender, they found strength the world can't offer. Jesus didn't teach forgiveness as theory. He lived it in blood. He was betrayed with a kiss, beaten unjustly, nailed to a cross. And still, his response wasn't revenge. It was mercy. That's not just a story. It's a model, an invitation to walk a path that heals the heart, even when justice hasn't come yet. You may never get the apology, the explanation, the closure, but you can still choose peace. You can still hand the pain to God and trust that He saw everything, and that He hasn't missed a single detail. Your release is not letting them off the hook. It's taking yourself off the chain. You don't have to wait until the pain is gone to start healing. Sometimes healing begins while the pain is still present, while the memory still stings, while the silence still lingers. That's the paradox of forgiveness. It's not a reward for closure. It's the path to it. And when you walk it, step by step, something shifts. Not always in them, but always in you. You start noticing the grip loosening, the bitterness softening, the moments when their name crosses your mind and your heart doesn't tighten quite as much. That's not weakness. That's the fruit of grace doing its quiet work. It's God restoring what anger was trying to rot. And though it's slow, it's sacred. Forgiveness may not change the past, but it absolutely shapes the future. It breaks generational patterns. It silences internal wars. It clears space for peace to grow where pain once had permanent residence. It's not forgetting what happened. It's refusing to let what happened keep happening inside you. The freedom you long for isn't on the other side of justice. It's on the other side of surrender. And every time you say, "God, I release this again," You're building a life that's no longer bound by what was, but grounded in what is: mercy, love, and divine restoration. There's something powerful that happens when you forgive someone who never said sorry, not because they deserved it, but because your soul did. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the realization that holding on doesn't heal, it hardens. And you were never meant to live with a heart of stone. You were meant to live free, soft, strong, and whole. God doesn't just heal your heart so you can move on. He heals it so you can move forward, so you can love again, trust again, worship without weight, because bitterness blocks connection, not just with people, but with God. And when you forgive, you're not just releasing them, you're clearing space for intimacy with Him. Maybe that's the deeper invitation: to stop managing pain and start surrendering it. To believe that what the enemy used to wound you, God is already using to wake you up. To who you are, to what matters, to the kind of peace that doesn't wait for life to fix itself, but starts with a single whisper: God, I let go. You won't always feel ready, but you don't need to. Forgiveness isn't a feeling, it's a faith step. And the more you take it, the lighter you become. Not because the story changed, but because you did. Forgiveness is not the end of your pain. It's the beginning of your healing. It's the moment you stop waiting for the past to change and start choosing how your future will unfold. It's the quiet rebellion against bitterness, the sacred decision to say, what they did may have hurt me, but it will not define me. This is what Jesus came to show us: that love is stronger than offense, that mercy speaks louder than memory, that you can be wounded and still walk, broken and still bless, betrayed and still free. And in the upside-down kingdom of God, the greatest victory isn't revenge, it's release. You don't have to wait for perfect closure. You don't have to feel peace before choosing it. All you need is the courage to open your hands, to let go of the weight that was never yours to carry forever. And in that letting go, you'll find something stronger than justice. You'll find joy. You'll find you. So take one last look at the pain, not to hold it tighter, but to hand it over, to trust that God knows what to do with it, to believe that the same grace that forgave you will carry you as you forgive others, and that in choosing to release, you're not just obeying, you're becoming. And now ask yourself this: what if the greatest miracle waiting to happen in your life isn't healing from what happened, but freedom through the one you choose to forgive today?